Hey, Sully, how are you this morning?
Hey, thanks for joining us. Did you get a little break from fourth grade basketball?
Not really. We're also finishing up this weekend, so after this I'll be down the road, and then, of course, out to the big state championship game, St. Augustine tonight, and Atlantic City at high noon tomorrow up at Rutgers.
The showdown at high noon. Yeah, some great basketball games this weekend. You're going to have your work cut out for you. Let's talk first about St. Augustine. We just got off the phone with Anthony Farmer, assistant coach. I'm sure you remember him from his playing days. And what a season these guys have turned in, 29-1. You know, they're only lost to St. Anthony, nationally ranked team out of North Jersey. How do you put into words the season this team has put together?
Well, not only this season, but you really have to look at it as a 2-year stretch. You know, going back to last season, this team is 56-3 since the start of last season.
Wow!
And that's tremendously impressive. And it really all builds towards today. You know, when they played Don Bosco for that state championship. You know, I remember Anthony Farmer well. In 2004, he led the Hermits to a state championship. You know, Isaiah Morton led another great guard, led the Hermits to the 2011 state championship. And tonight, you know, Saeed Nelson, who without a doubt is one of the top guards in the history of St. Augustine basketball, will try to do the same exact thing, you know, as the Hermits' lone senior when they take the floor against Don Bosco.
What's your impression of Nelson's career? I mean, he came in as about a 5'5" freshman. Has always been a slick ball handler. Grew a bunch, you know, prior to last year. He's up to about 6 feet, and his game has really progressed into so many different things he can do. You know, we were talking to Anthony Farmer about just the way he can kind of read a game in the first quarter and figure out what he needs to do, whether it be dishing out assists, driving the lane, hitting three-pointers. He kind of gets a feel for what he needs to do that game and really goes after it.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, he has had a marvelous career. And, and he's got a chance to make it even better tonight. But I think you look at Thursday night, 69-67 win over St. Joe Metuchen, where he was basically on the floor in the first half of that game. The other St. Augustine players were having trouble scoring, and Saeed Nelson really took it upon himself to get to the rim. I think he had 16 points in the first half, got St. Augustine off to a great start. When all hell broke loose and St. Augustine was losing their double-digit lead in the final 3 minutes, he was able to steady the team. When the game went to overtime, he scored the first 3 points of overtime to kind of let the Hermits know, hey, we can be all right. We're still in this thing. He really just willed St. Augustine to victory. So, you know, the only thing that he is missing, the only, sort of line missing off his resume is a state championship. But, it's not fair to judge any player, less alone a high school player, by the result of one game. No matter what happens tonight, whether he wins or loses, to me, Saeed Nelson is without a doubt one of the greatest players to ever play for St. Augustine Prep.
And really, I think from what I've seen, a lot of these younger guys really get a lot of confidence from just having him on the floor and the things he can do. And the way he carries himself on the floor, he never gets too high, never gets too low. And you see that resonate with guys like Marlon Hargis and Walter Harvey.
Yeah, and it's amazing that he's the team's only senior, that there's not another senior sitting at the end of the bench there, another senior or two. He is the only senior, so he is the unquestioned leader of this team. And to me, he never seems to get rattled. He doesn't really show emotion on the floor. And like I said, every time Thursday night in that game against St. Joe Metuchen, St. Augustine showed or faced a moment of doubt. Saeed Nelson was there to make a play for them, whether it be a pass, a shot, a foul shot, a steal or something, a play that let his teammates know, hey, this is going to be okay. And his teammates have talked all season long about, they know what's at stake tonight. They know what tonight means to Saeed Nelson. And, yeah, do they want to win for themselves? Absolutely. But they know what winning a state championship would mean for Saeed.
I think one of the really interesting things about this team is you almost get a sense, and maybe it's not fair to Saeed, but, probably it's natural for a 15 or 16-year-old kid, some of these younger guys, you almost seems like they get the feeling that, hey, if I miss this free throw, it's not a big deal because Saeed's going to score the next time down and pick me up. So they get kind of a boost of confidence just from having him out there.
Well, absolutely. It does take the pressure, off yourself. None of these players have to feel like they have to go out there and do it all themselves. That when they do make plays, it becomes even magnified. Like the other night, Saeed Nelson was able to score 31 points. That got St. Augustine the lead. He was able to, when St. Joe Metuchen made their comeback, he was able to make some plays. And that sort of, Walter Harvey and Marlon Hargis were then able to go to the foul line and make big foul shots. Hargis to tie the game and force overtime, Harvey to win the game. But they didn't have to get St. Augustine to the point where they made those plays, if you get what I'm saying.
Sure,
Nelson did that. And then the younger guys were able to sort of make the plays to put them over the top. And that's really what's gone on there all season. And then you can't forget about, too, the play of Justin Mutz, the junior forward, who's kind of emerged in the second half of the season as one of the better shot blockers in the state of New Jersey. That's made St. Augustine's defense even tougher. And it was what has really carried St. Augustine through the playoffs: the win over Union Catholic, the win over CBA, and the St. Joe Metuchen game lasted 36 minutes. St. Augustine played great defense for 29 of those minutes. His shot blocking ability has really allowed St. Augustine to sort of extend the floor defensively, trap, press, force turnovers, and create those in the scoring opportunities on the other end.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about the chemistry that team has, and that kind of segues nicely into Atlantic City. And this is not the best Atlantic City team we've ever seen, but what strikes me is just the chemistry these guys have, and you have a real nice mix of a couple solid seniors and a couple of really outstanding sophomores, and everything's really come together for this team. And I think maybe a little bit to the surprise of Coach Gene Allen, he wasn't sure how this team was going to play out this year, but they've really turned it on in the last 4 weeks or so, and have really become just an outstanding team in terms of what they can do, and knocking off a team like Colts Neck, which really gave them fits throughout most of that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think before the season, in talking to Coach Allen, talking to people in the South Jersey basketball circles, people thought Atlantic City was going to be pretty good. People thought Atlantic City might even be able to make a run at making it to a state title. Now, they didn't think that Atlantic City would quite get there with this group of players. Unfortunately for the Vikings, Leon Daniels, who was one of their top players coming back from last season, hasn't been able to play all season because of a medical condition. Some other players that were expected to be in key roles, didn't quite fulfill those roles, or went in another direction for different reasons, and that really opened up the door for some other players, and those other players, have taken advantage. I'll have the story in the Press of Atlantic City online later today, and in the paper tomorrow, sort of previewing the game where Coach Allen talks about it was really a next man up opportunity. And, a lot of teams talk about the next man up, but it's only a theory. Atlantic City made it a reality this year, and it's really been, some gritty seniors combined with some young, talented sophomores. Ray Bethea, who starts as a sophomore, but Nasir Morgan and Nazim Derry, sophomores, who have really come off the bench in the state tournament to really have some huge games. So, like I said, a lot of teams talk about the next man up. Atlantic City really lived it, and they lived it all the way to a state final this year.
And I think one of the things that Coach Allen said the other night after that game was really poignant, and he said, these seniors, the attitude they've had when they've been replaced in the lineup throughout a game by a sophomore really is what makes this team successful. They don't pout at the end of the bench. They want to see these young guys succeed, and they know, hey, if I have to come out of the lineup, it's not anything personal. It's for the success of the team, and that's not always easy for a high school kid to understand.
No, that's not always. I mean, you hit it on the spot right there, especially when you're senior and you're saying, why is this sophomore out there in this game and that game? But Atlantic City, like you said, I sat next to the Atlantic City bench in Colts Neck, and Nasir Morgan was on the floor, for most of the second half because senior Munir Harris was in foul trouble. Nazim Derry was out there, as I said, part of the second half. Nobody sulks on the Atlantic City bench. Those seniors were as into the game, as from the start as they were, when they were out there playing. And I just think it's come to a point where, a realization hits them that, hey, this is it. Our high school career, could end at any moment. So, if we're getting to play another day and practice another day, that's the goal here. And how we get there doesn't matter. But the goal is to be able to go to practice tomorrow and play another game the day after. And that's the only thing that matters. And ultimately, if you're going to be successful, that's the sort of mentality that you need in March to win basketball games.
Real quick before I let you go, kind of the same theme with the Ocean City girls. I know you haven't covered them quite as much as the boys basketball, but what an amazing run by that team, and with only two seniors, Olivia Briggs and Nicole Piergross, and some real young talent that Coach Brufy wasn't sure how that talent was going to develop this year, but some great signs for that team in the next couple of years as those girls really came along. And Coach Brufy is always going to put a winner out there, and just a really great season by the Red Raiders.
Yeah, absolutely. For the Ocean City girls, not only do they come and win a South Jersey title, but then they go up against a Middletown South team, the defending state champion, 3-time Central Jersey Group 3 champion, plays in the Shore Conference, which is, probably considered the best conference for girls basketball in the state of New Jersey. And they went up there and, led that game in the fourth quarter before they kind of faltered a little bit and took Middletown South right to the wire. I think when you look at it, I think, a couple of weeks ago, or what was it, about 2 weeks ago, we were at Stockton, and we had, the Ocean City and Middle girls and the Atlantic City and St. Augustine boys in the CAL finals. Well, now you've got, Atlantic City and St. Augustine playing for state titles this weekend. You had Ocean City winning the South Jersey title. You had the Middle girls going to the South Jersey Group 2 semifinals, losing a heartbreaker to a Sterling team that went on to the state semifinal. So you look at the Cape Atlantic League's best this year, and you look at how they performed against the rest of the state, and you got to say they did pretty well. And it was really, it translates into a great season for the league. And the Cape Atlantic League should be proud of how these teams played against the state, because they really represented the league well once the state tournament started.
Good stuff, Mike. Great catching up with you as always, and enjoy the weekend of high school basketball.
There's nothing better, like I said today. These games are just great. If you're not in the gym watching some of these high school basketball games in the state tournament, and you're a sports fan, you're really missing out, because this is some of the best sports, most exciting drama that I've seen on any level, high school, pro, or college. So these are just great games.
Yeah, man. I'll see you up there at Rutgers tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you later, Sully. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Mike. That was Mike McGarry, press of Atlantic City. Always does a great job filling us in on the high school basketball scene, and always great to catch up with him, get his insight, as he does a great job covering these teams all winter long.